All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
Yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
I haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys. But all right, so another episode of the EP podcast here, back at it again with another home team episode. This time right after Thanksgiving. It is the Friday, day after Thanksgiving, November 29th, with the one and only Arthur. Arthur, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I know we said, the last recording was going to be the home team episode, the last home team episode of the year, but, here we are. Even when we try to take a break, it's kind of hard to. So, life keeps moving on and we're like, oh, snap, we should talk about this. We should cover this, yada, yada, yada. But before we go into our topics and everything, let's go into Thanksgiving. All right, let's see what we did and all that stuff and just revisit it a little bit. But before we do that, if you haven't already, like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bells so you know when the latest episode comes to you. All right. So with that being said, Arthur, tell me about your Thanksgiving.
It was just a peaceful Thanksgiving, nothing terribly exciting. This year we decided to go out to a restaurant instead of anyone cooking and hosting at their house. So it was just a small group of us, 7 of us in total. It was different. I don't know if I'd necessarily do it again. If hosting is a bigger issue, I think we can make it easier than going out, but I don't know. Just when we worked holidays at a country club, it's a different caliber of food. The food is fresh and hot, and the buffet lines aren't that long. Well, the lines were a good 15 minutes or so, and at one point it got up to like a half hour.
So it was a buffet?
Time.
Buffet style?
Buffet.
Huh. Interesting. All right.
And ultimately, some of the food was warm and some of it really wasn't. So it's...
Okay. Do you want to say what restaurant it was?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to blow them up? Where was this? Delaware area? I mean, was it in like the beach area?
Yeah, we were down in the beach area.
Okay. Lewis?
But, restaurants are going to have trouble with that volume of people, and I understand that. But just ultimately, I've never found that you're going to get that great meal from a buffet.
Okay. Yeah. So, any specific highlights other than the food?
Just happy to spend time with my niece and spoil her a little bit more.
There you go. All right. So, for me, I ended up going to New York. So my uncle, he has a restaurant in Harlem called La Diagonal. It's a Mexican place, like upscale Mexican food. And he ended up reserving pretty much the whole restaurant for us. And what we did was essentially we gathered everybody and just had a buffet style meal. And it was a great time. It was a great time. The food was delicious. The environment was great. The drinks were great. The people were great. Everything was just super fun. Great to see people I haven't seen in probably like a long time. So it was always good to catch up with them. And actually, previous guest and friend of the pod, Skylar, ended up joining us because Skylar lives also in Manhattan.
Okay.
So Skylar joined us for Thanksgiving dinner. So it was a really good time. We had a cool time.
How large of a group did you have?
I want to say it was about, I don't know. It was less than 20,
Okay.
but more than 10. I want to say maybe like 15 is a good number. So, I mean, here's the thing. We were... So this was like Thanksgiving. Like I did things before before we got to that point, but it was a long night. I think we got done at the restaurant around 2 a.m. and then we were up onto maybe like 5 a.m.
All right, but the question with your family gatherings is, what time did it start?
Well, 7. I got there at 7:30. And then it went all the way till 2 a.m., at which point we went to my uncle's place, which is conveniently right above the restaurant. And we had a little after party there until 5 a.m.
Okay, but what time did dinner get served?
7:30. I mean, it was already like once we got there, it was
Okay.
already there. Yeah, so everything was already there for us, and people were just went in there at their own pace. Got their served themselves with drinks too, and yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a great time. Everybody was chit chatting. We stayed up definitely a little late. Was definitely feeling it this morning. I'm even feeling a little slow now, but here we are, continuing at it. But before that, I went to the 98th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Parade.
Oh, you actually attended?
Yeah. I never had gone before, and I lived in New York for some time, 4 or 5 years, and I don't know that it was worth it, but it was a few things. Like the weather wasn't great. There was it was heavy rain.
It was heavy rain.
It was heavy rain, and I didn't have an umbrella. And it was heavy rain. I was getting hit left and right with umbrellas, and I could hardly see any of the balloons. But made the best of it. Saw some cool balloons. I didn't get to see the Spider-Man one. That's the only one I didn't get to see. I saw all the other ones. I saw Santa at the end. But other than that, it was a good time. Went to an Irish pub right after. I forget what it was called. And had myself a nice cold glass of Guinness. Yeah, I'm not really a big guy, but sometimes a nice Guinness is definitely the way to go. It's like one of the only beers that really forces you to like drink it slow. And that could be, relaxing a little bit. So yeah, no, the Macy's Parade was great.
Well, it's also lower alcohol content than other beers.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
I never even thought about
that. I'm surprised you keep going back to, because usually you're trying to get.
I don't know. It's just a nice feeling drinking. I haven't had any other beer drink it. No, I haven't had the same experience with Guinness as I've had with any other beer. So I like it for that reason. And if I ever do drink beer, if you know me, I'm more of a vodka soda guy. But other than that, if I ever drink beer, it'll probably be a Blue Moon. Like I can't do like regular beer. It's just like I get bloated. Doesn't do much for me, and it's just like I feel yuck. Whereas a vodka soda, I'm drinking a vodka and club soda, and so I'm kind of hydrating and getting my booze on at the same time. So I'm killing two birds in one stone, and the hangover is not that bad. So yeah, no, New York. I mean, the parade was cool. Family was great. I still can't stand New York.
Can't stand it?
I can't stand New York, dude.
You always said you wanted to go back there.
No, I mean, I said I wanted. I said I wanted to go back when I left New York, but then I grew up in Delaware. I've been in Delaware now for probably 10 years, if not a little bit more, and I just don't get it, man. I just don't see the value in New York other than just to advance your career. Just because the cost of living is just ridiculously high. It's ridiculously packed in there. I literally had someone's butt in my face in the train station, and it wasn't fun. And I'm literally tight here. It's just I don't get it. I get you can make a lot of money in New York, but for what you're spending at the same time in New York, it's just not it. It's just not. And that's only talking about the places like Manhattan or Queens. I don't really venture out to any other place in New York other than those because my mom lives in Queens. But I haven't really been to the outskirts. But it's just not it for me. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal in it. What I did notice is that now, apparently they don't even really use MTA cards. You can still get an MTA card, but now when you go through those turning thingies where you would slide your card, now it's just you just take out your regular credit or debit card and you just tap it and then you go. So it's like super fast and efficient. And I'm sure probably better because those MTA cards go to waste like all the time. People just throw them out. So yeah, New York, not my thing. I don't understand why people go there other than to advance careers. I would definitely never build a family in such a city. But I think that's the most part. I just wouldn't build a family in a city in general. I like Delaware because, it's 2 hours from New York. It's 2 hours. It's like under an hour from Philadelphia, 2 hours from DC, and a 2-hour flight from Florida, especially now that we have the Newcastle airport running with Avelo Airlines. So I love New York because I visit my family and the great food, but it was ridiculously expensive. Let me tell you something. I had dinner with my mom, company, my cousin that's visiting from Spain, and my mom's husband. Dude. So it's like 5 of us, right? 5 of us. All we had was 2 starters And then we had like 3 entrees because some of them were big enough to share around. Like they have the option of like doing singles or doubles. And it was a Peruvian Mexican restaurant over in Astoria. And the bill, man.
Well, you didn't discuss the alcohol.
Well,
because that'll make
the
it
alcohol
drink.
too. Yes. The alcohols were definitely running. Dude, dinner, $500.
Well, how much were you drinking?
$500, man. It's like I just don't get that. I mean, it had to be the booze. Because $500 for. Then again, it's just like I was telling people in New York this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like regular. I'm like, not in Delaware, dog. Not in Delaware. I was like, so even more the reason why I'm like, I just don't care for it. I could never go back and live there. I don't know why my mom still does. I understand why some of my family does, but I don't understand why anyone would. Even my cousin who moved to Malta and it came back, so he moved to Malta. He lived in Queens, moved to Malta with his wife, then now moved to Ohio, apparently. He said that after coming back from Malta over in Europe, he said that his neighborhood was not at all the same. Like there was like hobos everywhere, like with places where there never was, people just like on the ground, and it's just like it's not safe. It's the people don't feel safe around that. So, New York is doing what New York does, man, and I don't know that's been doing that great. So I'll be staying definitely in Delaware for the foreseeable future. But
Well,
yeah.
perspective-wise, New York City is a quarter of the size of the state of Delaware and has 8 times the population of Delaware.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. I'm not cool with that. But, the great thing, like when you shop, you get to choose where you shop, and I will continue to shop in Delaware. Plus, no sales tax. So there's also that. So, yeah, I mean, shout out to the family. Shout out to the parade. Shout out to the people I had some good conversations with. But that's all it was. And now we're moving forward. It is Black Friday. People are shopping out of the wazoo, and people are going to be spending like crazy. I wonder what that credit card debt number is going to go up to, by the end of the quarter. So we're going to see with that.
Well, I understand today's Black Friday, but I noticed that the traffic on the roads was down. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. And as I was looking through the Black Friday ads, I was noticing that it wasn't as much about door busters that you could only get in the store. What they were offering as their big sale items, you could get online. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the numbers were Black Friday were for spending in the store versus shopping online.
Yeah.
And how that's going to affect Cyber Monday, because maybe Cyber Monday is really just going to get included in Black Friday.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Amazon has a big play in that, just because everybody's just shopping on their phone. So
right, and they're having Black Friday deals as well.
You probably see more Amazon cars than regular cars out there, in these last few days, just because it's crazy. I mean, I even accidentally shipped one of my orders to one of my older addresses, so that's how much shopping there's going on. But people also got to remember, because they see the big X number percent off. It's like people see 20% off, 30% off. You also realize you're still paying 70%. You're still paying 100% of that price. So it's not like.
Well, I don't like it when they advertise that they're just telling you the percentage off and not telling you what the item price is. So you can tell me it's 50% off, but did you double the price to make it 50% off and I'm still paying the same?
I don't know about most stores, but I do know in Amazon, when you're on the app, you can see a price history. So in the price history, you're able to see.
I'm talking about the actual advertising, like the mailers that are coming out.
Oh, no.
Last year was really bad. Everybody was advertising percentage off and there weren't prices. This year, I noticed that they put some of the prices back in, but there were still several things that were just telling you what percent off. So that doesn't really tell you what you're paying.
Yeah, I've seen videos where some people will go in store and then they'll see that there says like X% amount off and then the current price, and then they take it off and under it is the exact same price, and that was a regular price.
Yep.
So, it's, be mindful of what you're spending on. I'm seeing a lot of, we're just going to click, especially how easy Amazon makes it. It's just one click purchase and it's there. If you order early enough in the day, it gets to you by that afternoon, if not the next day. So just be mindful, spend wisely. And if you're going to spend, probably get ahead of the Christmas spending. do your Christmas spending while things are on discount now, and so that way you don't have to pay what's it called, a higher price a premium during month of December. So we have that, and then we also have Cyber Monday is coming around.
We do.
So that's going to be happening there. But as you said, it's not like, now that Amazon has done it the way that they've been doing it, now it's like people don't do lines anymore. It's never just a one-day thing. People now do like Black Friday week. People do Cyber Week, Cyber Monday week.
Well, they start the Black Friday sales early, but I did notice that they were still holding off for Friday for some of their items, but a lot of their things were
that I did see.
Starting on Monday.
That I did see. I know one big part of the reason why companies started doing this a while back of like Black Friday week was because it got a little crazy and hectic with what people were doing, fighting over products and stuff like that. So people getting stabbed over like silly stuff.
Well, that's not why it spread out. The spreading out was trying to undercut your competition and beat people to the punch and get dollars first.
Well, if I'm sure that's part of what it was, but also by doing that, you don't have those extremely long lines where people are doing the line at 4 a.m. to be able to shop at 8 a.m. And then, people are fighting over the last Samsung smart TV that's available. So I'm sure it helped out from that aspect too. But no, 100%, a lot of these businesses, especially, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. There's two sides to every coin. So I'm sure it's definitely, they're doing that on purpose.
Well, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know why it's called Black Friday?
Why is it called Black Friday? Someone asked me this yesterday. I think someone in my family. It's like I didn't tell. They told me, but they were drunk, so I couldn't really understand them. So,
okay, well, way back when you used to keep your books by hand, your accounting records, you used two pens. One was red and one was black. And typically, for most retail businesses, from January through Thanksgiving, at the end of the day, they were recording their daily ledger in red that they were losing money. And then the first day that the ledger turned black would be on Black Friday when everyone started their Christmas shopping. So essentially, from the day after Thanksgiving until Christmas Eve, those however many days, because it fluctuates, but those 4 to 5 weeks a year brought in enough revenue to keep the business afloat for the other 11 months of the year. So Black Friday was because that was typically the first day that the books
okay, I see.
Turn black because it was profitable.
Yeah. But now people are on full throttle for Christmas. You're going to be seeing everybody, if they haven't already, decorating their house with Christmas decorations and everything. So that's coming about. Everybody's getting in the Christmas spirit. But, we are one of them. We are one of them. And the reason being is because we're actually dropping a Christmas collection in light of the holiday. So it's going to be a 5-item collection. It's going to include a premium sweater. It's going to include a classic t-shirt. It's also going to include an embroidered Merry Christmas hat. It's also going to have a tree ornament. So I'm missing one thing here. Oh, here's the here's the one I'm excited for. The one I'm excited for is a Christmas mug that changes color based on the temperature. So it's a black mug, but as it gets hot, it slowly shows the EP podcast logo with a Christmas beard and hat, and it also on the other side says Merry Christmas with like snowflakes going around. So it's our first Christmas collection. It's only going to be around for Christmas because we're moving on right after that. We're in and out. And, it's officially available now. So this episode is coming out Monday. So that's when it will come out. And go in there, shop. We'll have bundle deals ready for you. We'll have a discount code also available for you since it's going to be Cyber Monday. We'll have that available for them. But I'm telling you, man, the designs on these things are crazy. We spent like probably collectively, I don't know, approximately in the span of like 3 days, 20 hours sitting down and working on these designs from scratch. And the material, I've already felt the material before in previous merch from the specific items that we're using, and it feels really, really good. Now, the embroider hat is probably going to be my favorite because I've already ordered one before, but for a future collection, And man, I'm excited for this one. So go shop the Christmas collection. We're going to have a slide pop up coming here now. And then we're going to have a QR code that you can scan either from your TV or you can shop it from the link on the YouTube description or anything else on there. So go get that collection now. Anyways, moving on, Arthur. Oh, and if you don't, and if you know what, and if you're going to skip out on the Christmas collection, Arthur's wearing one of our quarter zips, the black quarter zip, the EP podcast quarter zip. Arthur, tell us about this quarter zip. How does it feel?
It feels nice, but isn't this the first generation? You've already moved on to the second generation one?
Second generation. So what we had, originally was, I believe a year ago, we designed like polos and everything like that. Mm-hmm. This is from the classic collection. This is the quarter zip from the classic collection, which also includes a t-shirt, a hat, and I believe there's something also on there. But yes, that's also, oh, you're talking about, yes, we put this one to the side right now because we're working with we're going to look into working with a different company. But this one was very light. It's actually, so you have a unique piece. You have a unique piece. You have a unique piece. We're going to have it with a newer company, but it's very light. It's good for exercise. It's good just to wear around. And it's definitely, something you want to pick up down the road. So keep track of that. Go to our websites, get yourself a piece. And we're going to have a code for you for Cyber Monday. So go shop now. But moving on, Arthur, let's talk about what's going on in the world, which is even during the holiday can be a lot. So we have a couple things here. I'll get the ball rolling for us. We're gonna smooth in, talk about shopping. Let's talk about Walmart. Walmart is, taking a step back from DEI policies, which is apparently what a lot of companies are doing. As the saying goes, you go woke, you go broke. So part of it is that they're removing sexual and transgender products inappropriately marked toward children and just trying to build a safe environment for children. Now, I thought that was, key because, look, I'm all about you representing, what you stand for and what you believe in and whatever the case is. But also, you got to be mindful of the children. I've seen what happens at some of these parades and in terms of just how revealing they can be. And in my opinion, it's just not appropriate for children. So Walmart is one of the companies stepping back on that. And they're going to be reviewing grants to pride events to avoid funding sexual content targeting kids, stuff like that. So because this is one of the things that many people are complaining about with this whole DEI thing, and specifically in the LGBT+.
Well, let's just clarify. You're talking about their DEI policies when it comes to merchandise and donations, not necessarily their DEI policies when it comes to employment.
Right. So
that's typically where you hear DEI is with employment.
Right.
Okay.
So, but just DEI in general, they're saying how it's like the whole goal of DEI is to be more inclusive. Mm-hmm. But what has been found is that it's been more divisive more than anything.
Well, some of the displays have been put under scrutiny that you're putting the clothing that was deemed inappropriate to the mass public, but you were trying to have for a small segment of the market became front and center. And I've never understood the advertising behind, if it's less than 10% of your business, why is it getting the center attention on display? And that was where this all stemmed from, is that it's not that you're announcing that you have it. It felt like you were targeting it to others to expand the line versus you just having it on shelves and it's available, but it didn't need to be predominantly displayed. Other things should have been in its place.
Yeah, I mean, and my biggest thing is just like creating a safe environment for the children. I mean, if you're out in public, especially if you're a big company, especially for some place like Walmart, families go in there were kids. There's just some things they simply don't need to see, right? And I'm not a parent, so I can't speak on parenting too much, but I'm sure that's something parents are conscious of when they go shopping and who they shop with. So definitely creating a safer environment. But not only that, they're also ditching terms like Latinx and DEI altogether in their official communications. I think they're focusing more now on terms like belonging, which in theory includes everybody. So I started looking into this a little bit, and I like what someone said. Someone made a comment about this. It's saying if you make so what's most important is that you have a diverse applicant pool, right? We were talking about DEI with hiring and all that stuff like that. Because in theory, it shouldn't just be a 3-letter word. It should be, it should be everything. It should be a pool of everything in terms of not just diversity, equity, and inclusion. It should also be like merit, competence, and just having a combination of all of those. You want to create essentially a level playing ground where everybody can take part in and excel in what would be the corporate ladder, right? So, but for me, it kind of becomes a problem when you're choosing, a physical trait, appearance over skill, because then it risks the integrity of the quality of what's coming out of the company, which at the end of the day, the company first and foremost, needs to put the customers first, because without the customers, there is no business. And that's just my opinion. But how do you feel about that?
I mean, when you start to talk about the corporate ladder, there's just inherent problems with it from every direction. At one point in time, it was those that do the best rise to the top. Well, not so much. Today, you got to be careful, because if you do too well, they don't want to promote you up because you could outshine your boss. So if that's going to happen, you might be in an environment where they try to prevent you from moving up because they don't want you to do better than them.
Right, and that's what, and then you picked that up, I think fairly soon into your working career on whatever company it is, just because, that's going to show. If someone doesn't want you to move up, let alone with them, they're going to make it very obvious. And if you have the kind of boss that, doesn't encourage you to grow in the company, then chances are they're either afraid that you could potentially replace them, or you're probably going to be stuck in the position you're in for a long time.
Correct.
And, I get people need to have their income, and people need to, have a consistent income at that. But if you're looking to grow in your career, that's something you definitely have to fill out and have a conversation with yourself. If you feel like they're not really helping your growth here, you're going to be dealing with a long time frame of stagnating growth. So, which is never what you want to do, because that's when you feel like you get stuck at work.
Well, there's stagnant growth. Those are two opposites. There is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you feel like you have like a. So what I mean is like it's like you're not growing essentially.
Correct.
You're just like flat.
Correct.
There's no growth happening, and you never want that. I think that everybody should strive to grow in whatever it is, and the easiest thing to do that in is typically with work. But that's also depending on your work environment.
But then the other question comes into play is, if you're in an environment like that where the person above you doesn't want to promote you up because they don't want to look bad themselves when you're doing more, and they're still at the company and they're able to get away with that, is that really a company you want to be part of that allows that environment to take place?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're always going to be, if you're not financially stable to whatever definition of that is to you, you're always going to feel constrained with your freedom of what you're able and not able to do. So the best thing you could always do is just make sure you're good in a financial place. So if you feel like you're not being treated fairly, and let alone being given the same opportunities other people are getting, then make sure you're good. So then if you see that, you can say, all right, I'm out. I'm not doing this.
Correct.
And get the most out of it that you can, because, it's still something that could go on your resume, whatever it is you work on your time there. But, that's been a big talking point for like a long time now. DEI. I mean, we had the conversation back and forth about, whether it should be, DEI or merit and competence. Now I'm not. And then after reading that comment, I was like, yeah, that makes more sense. You should aim to do all of them. It shouldn't just be one 3-letter acronym versus another 3-letter acronym, because ideally you want to be as well-rounded as possible. So that's what's going on with Walmart, and other companies have been doing it too. I believe it was John Deere and Ford. They're stepping away from their DEI. And by DEI, I mean like creating specific departments for that, like trying to go so far into it where, it's not really improving anything within the company. Because the thing is, with bad ideas, they eventually get exposed. They eventually come to light. So if DEI is a bad idea, we'll see in the future whether or not it's around. If it is, then it won't go anywhere. But That's what's going on with Walmart. Arthur, tell me what's going on with you.
What's going on with me?
Yeah. No, what you got on your end?
Well, here's an interesting one. I don't know how well this is going to go.
But
Here we go. Massachusetts lawmakers are pushing for an effort to ban all tobacco sales over time.
Ooh,
and I don't know if that's the correct direction to go.
that sounds like prohibition era type thing.
That's kind of what it's
Yeah.
reminding me of. The first of all, you now have to be 21 for tobacco sales in Massachusetts, which is slowly sweeping the country. It used to be 18, but it has been slowly changing.
Oh, I thought that happened already, like countrywide.
Is it
Was
countrywide?
it? Yeah, I thought it was countrywide.
Okay, it might be up to countrywide now,
Yeah.
but it hadn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it had been 18 for
Yeah.
when they came out with the law. It had been 18 prior
Right.
to that. You know, in the 80s, it was you were able to go up to a cigarette vending machine with change and grab cigarettes regardless of your age.
Yep.
And then there's talk about a possible generational tobacco ban based on birth year. Again, I still don't think that's
Based on birth year. How does that work?
they're going to just start off saying anybody born this year or later is prohibited from buying tobacco altogether. So if you're already addicted or hooked on it, they'll let that slide. But going forward, they would just say, based on your age, you're never going to be permitted to purchase tobacco.
That's interesting. Well, I'm not okay. Does that include cigars too?
It does.
Ah, hell no. See, I was gonna say cigarettes, man. Yeah, get rid of those things, man. They suck. Cigars and cigarettes
it's going
just feel
more than that. It's not just that, but it's also trying to go after the vaping as well.
Vapes and cigars. I mean, vapes and cigarettes. I'm okay with those getting trashed out, but then at that point, you got to get rid of cigars too, which would suck.
But that's not the issue because smoking takes place in other countries. Now, in Europe, they have restrictions on their tobacco products. They limit the amount of tar, nicotine, and carbon monoxide produced. And in the United States, we don't have the stringent laws attached. So I think this is a situation where it needs to be, you're trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater when really all you need to do is, put in and start to enforce stricter regulations.
Yeah.
Just like the whole thought process with the cars and the mandate that all vehicles have to be electric by a certain date. I don't think that's the way to go. I still think the way to go is to mandate all vehicles have to get gas mileage of this by this date, which is where we used to be going, and that got taken away. But when we started doing that, all of a sudden the electric vehicles came into play.
Okay.
So if we, get that stricter about vehicle gas use or fuel use has to be able to get to so many miles per gallon, then next thing you know, it's going to be more advantageous and the public will decide to go to electric instead of the government mandating it. So you really need to make it the public's choice.
I hate to see cigars go, but because you got to realize because there's a lot of local businesses, that like little small local businesses that do like cigar shops and stuff stuff like that. And I would just hate to see them to go under because that's the whole premises of their business. But hey, if it's for the because then look, when does that stop? Because then the next one is going to be like removing alcohol.
They tried that once in this country. And
that's what I'm saying. It's like part two. I don't think
then the black market started as a result.
It's gonna be a black market part two if they're going that route. But we're gonna keep this episode short and sweet, Arthur. We're trying different things here with new equipment, so excuse us if there's any technical difficulties. But we're working through it. As always, part of growing. There's a little bit of trips on the way, but we always make do. So, anyways, Arthur, we were having the last conversation about last week about Biden approving the long-range missiles for Russia. For Ukraine to use on Russia on the, I think it was more around the border side. And today, at least that I found out today that I think it happened either today or yesterday, but Biden this time approved $600 million arms sale to Israel. So there's that happening. Fairly news is still developing information with that, but at the same time, with Bibi Netanyahu, I know they recently put out a warrant for his arrest, I think in Canada. And I think, I don't know, the timing is a little odd. I also know they just did a ceasefire. They agreed on a ceasefire with, what's it called? Hezbollah. And literally within the second day of that ceasefire happening, they hit Lebanon. So I don't know. These things are not just adding up to me. And then I bring it back to the whole setting up for success.
Well, I think you're confusing some details here.
Okay.
Hezbollah is in the Gaza Strip.
Okay, but Hezbollah is a party.
It's a group.
Yeah.
Which is within the Gaza Strip.
Okay.
And Lebanon is not part of that.
But no, there's definitely an association. I forget at the top of my head, but it definitely is. Hold on, let's see here. Okay. So let's see here.
But then you also
here. Look, Hezbollah is a Lebanese. Hezbollah is a Lebanese Shia Islamist political party and paramilitary group. So, there's that. And then they attacked Lebanon literally with missiles. I think it was yesterday. So after agreeing to a ceasefire. So it doesn't really feel like much of a ceasefire when that's happening. And it's just, I don't know. This guy has a warrant for his arrest in Canada. A lot of people are not a fan of him. When he goes up to speak, people leave the room. And people consider him like a war criminal. And it's a lot of the reasons why people think that the U.S. or say that the U.S. is funding a Palestine genocide. So it's a very easy topic to not get the full details right on. Very touchy to begin with, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why it's happening, but I don't know that it's a step in the right direction. So same move with the long range missiles for Ukraine. I don't get what's going on here with the Biden administration. I don't know who's in Biden's ear, but it doesn't seem like a smart move for the future. Because everybody, when I saw this first pop out, I was looking at comments. I'm like, everybody was saying World War III. This is going to be the things that are going to lead us to World War III. And people like to exaggerate sometimes, but it's not pushing us away from that. It's even tempting leaders even more to potentially go into that. So I don't know. It's very concerning. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Tell us what's going on there, because it doesn't seem to me like a step in the right direction. What do you think?
It's a messy situation as it is, but I don't see that getting better with the change in administration, especially when the next administration has family ties with I can't pronounce the gentleman's name.
Bibi Netanyahu?
Yeah. Has family ties with him.
Okay, well, I mean, Biden seems to get along pretty well with him too.
But I don't know how to put the relationship back to Trump. Trump's daughter's in-laws frequently have entertained him at their home in New Jersey.
And Biden's entertaining him at the White House.
That's a little bit different.
I mean, regardless, Arthur, I don't see this being a good move in any possible angle you put it in. And I don't think Trump already gets enough ish as it is. I don't think if you really and it goes back to the whole smooth transition thing. Sure, you're appearing like you're doing a smooth transitioning, inviting Trump over and being extremely friendly with him and those smiles and everything. But then you're doing these things, as we're getting closer and closer to Inauguration Day. So it's just not adding up. You're doing one thing, you say one thing, but you're doing the other. So I don't understand the motives here, and people are worried into what this could lead up to. But we'll see. It's developing. It just happened. And also, by the way, Hezbollah, the political party, was founded in southern Lebanon in 1982. I just read that here. So there's that. But moving on from that, Arthur, what else do you got us here? We're doing a short podcast, quick and sweet, just so people can see our faces because, they love seeing them. Not really. Not kidding. But give us something good.
Notre Dame Cathedral rises from the ashes. They just did a 2-hour televised live broadcast to the people in France, showing off the renovations of the cathedral and the rebuilding of the fire damage. In the process of doing so, the limestone that the cathedral is mainly comprised of is back to the bright and creamy colors that it used to be. And they're saying that it has not been seen by anybody in this generation to that extent after, a century worth of age was put on. Just time has, stopped the limestone from shining as bright. So with the fire damage and they doing a thorough deep clean of everything, restored parts of the cathedral back to what it once looked like. And last major restoration of the cathedral was in the late 1800s. So it's been about 150 years since the cathedral was last restored.
150 years? Yeah. Shoot. Okay. Are you going to go see it anytime soon?
I'd love to, but they're also predicting that the crowds are going to increase by 2 to 3 million per year once they reopen.
Yeah.
And they have taken precautions to prevent another fire. They have put in a mechanism to protect against future fires with a discrete system of pipes to release millions of water droplets in case of a new disaster.
Okay.
So we've added a little bit of new technology into the restoration of the chapel or the cathedral.
Well, I'm excited to see what comes out of that. It's always good when we're able to restore things, especially preserve history. So we'll see what goes on in the future and what the feedback is on the not renovations, but the restoration. Restoration, yep.
And they're still on track to open have Sunday worship on December 8th. And the guest list has not been published. They did say that Jill Biden has accepted and will be in attendance. The invitation has gone out to Donald Trump, but there's been nothing shared about whether or not he's accepted the invitation.
Okay. Well, definitely should. Why not? But yeah, Arthur, the goal of this podcast today was to, one, test out the new equipment. We have new equipment in place, but we're not going to exactly say what it is. We're using it as we speak because we are going to be making a lot of big changes in terms of appearance, of how you see our videos. We're very, very excited about that. We also wanted to announce the Christmas collection. So go ahead and shop the merch. If you enjoy what you see with the podcast, that's one way to support us. If not, leave us a like, comment, share with your friends, keep us going. And yeah, so Arthur, thank you again. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody. If we don't see you again before the New Year's, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to you. We'll see you in 2025. A lot of big things coming. Arthur, you have anything to close out with?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.